Und damit abermals herzlich willkommen zu Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. Und wir haben letztes Mal erfolgreich hier die Uhr aufgemacht und ein paar Dinge daraus entnehmen können. Schauen wir mal rein. Da war das Foto mit Heinz Ritter, glaube ich, hieß er. Gucken wir nochmal an.
The old photograph showed Gabriel's grandfather with two other men that Gabriel has not identified.
Ja, ich glaube, wir haben es doch schon identified. Und ich meine, es ist Heinz Ritter, also der Typ, von dem wir schon gelesen haben.
It's Gabriel's sketch of the series of crosses from the Laveau Tumor.
Ah, das war das, genau. Und dann haben wir noch unser eines Bild plus diese ganzen hier. Können wir die kombinieren? Geht das? So.
Those two objects.
Ja, wäre ganz schön, dass man irgendwie vielleicht ein Gesamtbild sehen könnte oder sowas. Aber ja, müssen wir mal gucken, wie wir das genau machen. Jetzt versuche ich erstmal hier die Szene rauszugehen. Und dann wollen wir mal gucken, dass wir das hier alles hinkriegen. Hallo? Jetzt. So, Oma, wie sieht's aus? Wir müssen weg. Ich wünsche dir noch einen schönen Abend. Lass es dir gut gehen.
Well, Gran, I better get going.
All right, dear.
Wir haben noch auf der Liste die... Ja, Polizeichefin? War das eine Polizeichefin? Zu besuchen? Okay. Ich würde mich ganz gerne vorher nochmal umgucken. Es ist ja ein neuer Tag. Und an diesem neuen Tag... Boah, mit dem lauten Verkehrslärm hier doch. Mit dem neuen Tag haben wir vielleicht auch nochmal ein paar andere Dinge, die wir hier tun können. Wie ist denn... Ach, da war ich schon, ne? Zweiter Tag am Napoleon-Haus. Ja, die spielen immer noch. Ja. Sorry. Das war nicht sonderlich geschickt. Das wusste ich schon. Aber ja, mit diesen Days, die wir immer mal wieder laufen lassen müssen, oder die mal wieder kommen, ist es halt so, dass wir ab und zu mal ein paar Sachen abklappern müssen. Ne? Vielleicht gibt es da hier im Park was Neues. Schauen wir mal. Oh, ein Stepptänzer. War nicht da, oder?
Jackson Square is a good place to rest while exploring the French Quarter, and a great place to be entertained by local
Jogger.
performers.
Gottes Willen.
The lucky dog vendor has his nose buried in a paperback novel. Gabriel noticed that it is not. Big surprise.
Okay. Sollten wir mit denen mal reden vielleicht? Komm, wir schnacken mal mit denen. Das ist ja gerade Anfang der Folge. Wir schnacken mal eine Runde mit denen. So, mit dem Hotdog-Verkäufer. Boah, ich hätte jetzt auch Bock auf einen Hotdog.
You mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yep, I mind, all right.
Why?
Because A, I don't know anything, and B, I'm busy.
Oh,
Interrogating the...
Okay. Gut, es war eine Überlegung. Die Band kennen wir auch. Aber hier scheint einfach noch nichts Neues zu sein. Vermute ich jetzt einfach mal. Ein Maler. Mit dem reden. Erstmal angucken vielleicht, den Maler. Guten Tag.
An artist is taking advantage of the fine weather.
Ja. Das hier. Das können wir dann, also vielleicht können wir ihn mal interviewen.
could I ask you some questions? I'd rather not. I really get focused when I'm drawing. Okay, fine.
Okay, der ist focused. Dann tät ich sagen, dass wir hier nicht mehr viel tun können. Wir gehen dann tatsächlich mal zu der Polizeichefin, wenn ich es denn hinkriege. Ich nicht? So, meine ich doch. Nee? Komm ich jetzt hier wieder raus? Ich könnte hier über mehrere Wege. Ah, jetzt kommen wir wieder zum lauten Stepptänzer. Na herrlich. Wer hat alles Lust? Da noch hängen. Gabriel. Nein. Ach, ich dachte schon. Na, kennt ihr solche Parks mit freischaffenden Künstlern? Ich war jetzt in Leipzig in einem Park gewesen und da war auch so eine offene Bühne für Kunst und so. Total cool. Ah. Okay.
The knocker is
Okay, gut. Wir können ja nicht klopfen. Dann gehen wir einfach durch. Öffnen wir die Tür, dann wird
Gabriel
es
can't get inside unless he's invited.
wie ein Vampir. Okay, vielleicht das?
Gabriel can't get in.
Okay, also vielleicht
There's no one outside.
das. Also. Das ist aber lächerlich. Wie soll ich denn da rein? Wenn ich nicht mit der Tür interagieren darf. Ist hier.
Gabriel. The front door of the Getty mansion looks unusually solid and heavy. Gabriel. This door's.
Ah, vielleicht den. Aha. Wahnsinn.
May I help you?
Mhm. Oh, gerade mal einen Schluck getrunken. Ja, wir würden die gern sehen.
I'd like to see Malia Getty, please. I'm sorry, but unless you have an appointment or official business, I cannot announce you.
In der dienstlichen Angelegenheit hier, ja. Ah, wir haben ja die Marke.
I do have official business. Really? Please tell me the nature of your business.
Wir haben ja die Marke. Achso, muss ich jetzt eben die Marke zeigen?
My name is Detective Mosley. I'm here on police business. Really? How interesting. Wait here. I'll inform Miss Getty.
Tatsächlich, okay. Gut, ja, was für eine glückliche
Miss Getty
Fügung
will
hier.
see you. Right this way. Miss Getty will be down shortly.
Noble Hütte, Miss Getty.
Thank you.
Jetzt wird sie aber feststellen, dass wir nicht Mosley sind.
What can I do for you, Detective?
Ja, ich würde mich ganz gern mit Ihnen unterhalten, aber erstmal schauen wir natürlich.
Undoubtedly proof that there is a God.
Meine Güte.
Mind if I ask you a few questions, Miss Getty?
I assume that's what you're here for, Detective.
Tja, dann fragen wir sie mal aus.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Ah, sie weiß es dann
Voodoo?
doch nicht.
Why would you want to know about that, Detective? It's rather silly, isn't it?
There's nothing silly about the voodoo murders.
But that voodoo is faked. That's what I've read in the papers.
That's what the papers say, all right.
But you're not convinced?
No, frankly, I'm not. The police department isn't known for its imagination.
Oh. Well, I can see that your imagination is considerable.
Ich teste mal ganz kurz eben was. Ich sehe die Ausschläge hier bei mir auf dem Soundboard und habe die Vermutung, dass der Ingame-Sound so laut ist. Ich gucke mir das mal eben an. Ganz kleinen Moment. So, herzlich willkommen zurück. Ja, scheint alles okay zu sein, sag ich jetzt mal. Hörte sich ganz okay an. Ich habe mir ein bisschen Sorge bei Sound und Aufnahmen und so. Kämpfe ja seit Ewigkeiten mit. Gut, schauen wir mal weiter.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
The murders? Only what I read in the papers.
And what do you read in the papers?
I'm sure you know much more about it than I, Detective.
Der fragen Sie mal weiter
What do you
aus.
know about the Voodoo murders?
The murders?
And
Okay.
what do you know?
Nein, Entschuldigung.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm afraid I quite abhor them.
Aha.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm afraid I quite...
Okay.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I believe it's some sort of local holiday, but I don't know much about it.
Do you have any idea what Cabri Saint-Gare means?
No, I don't. What does it mean, Detective?
That's confidential info. Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
No, I'm afraid I can't help you with that, Detective.
Tell me about yourself.
I suppose I don't really have a choice. What do you want to know, Detective?
Nein, sagen Sie uns alles. Welche Dinge interessieren Sie?
What kind of things interest you?
I don't have a lot of free time, but I do appreciate the arts. Opera, symphony, ballet, fine art. If you look around, you'll see that we collect African art, for example.
Yes, it's very beautiful.
It is, Detective. It means a great deal to me.
Aha.
Do you have a career?
A career. Being the head of the Getty family is a 24-hour-a-day job. We have many holdings and many responsibilities, financial and otherwise. The management of our business affairs and properties leaves me with time for little else.
Poor little rich girl?
Believe it or not, Detective, wealth does have its price.
Tell me about your family.
The Gettys? We're a very private family.
How many people are there in your family?
Well, my mother just passed away.
Oh,
I am sorry.
So am I. She was a magnificent woman. We were very close. I was an only child.
And your father?
I never knew him.
It's hard to believe that any man would leave a woman like you. Or like your mother must have been.
He did not leave, Detective. But that's really none of your concern.
I'm sorry. Go on.
There are, of course, other Gettys in the city. I have a large, extended family.
I see. Do you have a husband? A boyfriend?
I'm very independent, Detective. The women in my family have always preferred it that
Okay.
way.
So, you've never been married.
No, and I never will be.
What about children?
Yes, that is likely. Someday.
I'd like to hear just...
I do a lot of charity work around the city, primarily in the prison and reform system. I'm not a professional sociologist, but it does interest me.
I would...
As you will.
haben Sie alles gefragt? Der See?
Can you tell me anything about what happened out at the lake?
I wish I could, but I've never seen or heard anything unusual at the lake, and I do spend quite a bit of time out there.
Aber sie war doch da. Was hat sie denn da gemacht?
Can you tell me anything?
I wish I could.
Are you sure you can't tell me anything about voodoo?
I really don't know much about it. Isn't there some place in town that you can find out about that sort of thing? A museum or something?
I believe there is a museum.
Then maybe you should check there.
Ach ja, stimmt. Museum. Komm, wir bleiben mal ein bisschen mit ihr, oder? Was Sinn?
Excuse me, but your
Oh
eyes
Gott.
are
Oh
really
nein, ich
distracting.
hätte sie machen sollen.
I don't think I've ever seen a color quite like that. Brownish gold. It's so deep and rich. Man, if I could bottle that,
Gott,
I'd
ist das
make a
cringe.
Fortune. Thank you, Detective. That's an interesting observation, though probably not relevant to your case.
A good detective never knows what might be relevant, Miss Getty.
Then you must be truly exceptional at your job. I think this has gone on long enough. You're not really a detective, are you?
Who, me? Well, I am on this case, Miss Getty.
I saw you at the lake yesterday. I thought you must be with the police since you were there, but you don't act like a police officer.
Oh.
Besides, I'm rather certain that the other man said his name was Mosley.
All right, you caught me. I'm not with the police. My name is Gabriel Knight. I'm a writer working with Detective Mosley on a book.
Well, Mr. Knight, now that we've established who you are, perhaps you can tell me the real reason you're here.
Well, I am researching the book, and I thought you might have seen or heard something at the lake.
I don't like liars, Mr. Knight.
Okay, you're right. I really just wanted to see you again. You can be mad at me if you want, but I swear I've never done anything like this before.
Mr. Knight, you've lied about your identity and wasted my time with meaningless questions. If it weren't vaguely flattering, I'd really be angry. You're lucky I don't call the real police. I think you should go, Mr. Knight.
Oh, flieg raus.
Wait, if you just give me a chance.
Nein, hab ich Fehler gemacht?
I've wasted enough time. I'll have Robert show you out.
Oh nein, aber habe ich was verkehrt gemacht?
Robert? Show Mr. Knight out, please.
I most certainly will.
Thank you very much. I had a lovely time. Ah, shit.
Hoffentlich habe ich jetzt nicht eine berühmt-berüchtigte Seerach-Falle hier ausgelöst. Tja, wir werden es sehen. Wir sollten zum Voodoo-Museum gehen, ne? Sagte sie gerade. Da wartet hier, glaube ich, auch noch jemand auf uns.
Welcome, my friend.
Professor oder wie auch immer.
Hello.
I am the proprietor, Dr. John. If you have any questions, I will be happy to assist.
Ja!
Great. My name is Knight, and I'll probably take you up on that. Could I ask you some...
Okay.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Historical voodoo? Or the voodoo currently practiced in the city?
What can you tell me...
Historical?
Ach so. Ah, okay.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
The killings in the newspaper? I know that they have nothing to do with true voodoo in New Orleans.
Mehr noch?
What makes you think the voodoo murders aren't being done by local practitioners?
Voodoo is a popular boogeyman, Mr. Knight, especially in New Orleans. Anyone can pretend to use it, just as anyone can pretend to be a black belt in karate, and for the same reason, to intimidate. I know voodoo in this city, Mr. Knight, and believe me, it is not about killing. Even the police have stated that the killings have nothing to do with local voodoo.
So you...
I neither know nor care to know, Mr. Knight. My only possible interest is in how it might affect the public's attitude towards the museum. So far, it has not been an issue. No one has even had the bad taste to bring it up. Until you, that is.
So...
I neither...
Okay. Das war's. Schlangen.
Do you know anything about snakes?
You have perhaps noticed the museum's snake, Mr.
Ja!
They are beautiful creatures, do you not agree? And the tourists seem to associate them with voodoo.
Ich überlege gerade, was mache ich denn lieber? Schlangen oder Spinnen? Ich glaube Schlangen.
Is the snake...
I admire the spirit of the snake, Mr. Knight. But snakes like the museums can be quite dangerous to handle.
You didn't really answer my question.
I think I did, Mr. Knight.
Okay.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It is one of the important ceremonial nights in voodoo.
Das war's?
What else can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I am afraid I do not know the origins of St. John's Eve. I only know that it was a night of ritual long before voodoo came to New Orleans.
Mehr?
What else can you tell me about St.
I am...
Okay.
Do you have any
Wer weiß
idea
das? Komm.
what Cabri Saint-Gar means?
I fear
Nein.
my French is not all it should be, Mr. Knight.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
No, I have not.
Tell me about yourself.
Me?
Yes, if you don't mind.
What is it?
Ach, keine Ahnung.
Heck,
Ich
Dead.
glaube, davon ist nichts relevant.
tell me about historical voodoo.
Das würde ich gerne wissen.
Very well. I will start at the beginning, Mr. Knight, and will go on from there at your prompting.
Sounds good.
As you may know, Voodoo is a grassroots religion formed by the mixing together of many different African tribal religions and Anglo religions, such as Catholicism or Protestantism. In other words, it is a religion born of the African slave trade, but African slaves were imported not only by the United States, but also into the West Indies, where the French and Spanish ran plantation islands. Prior to 1803, the New Orleans area was owned by France. The French Creole in those days owned many African slaves. But the Creole did not permit their slaves to gather, giving no chance for Voodoo to breed here natively. The Creole also knew enough about the corrupted pagan practices of the West Indies slaves to ban the importing of slaves from that region.
Und was ist mit Voodoo heute?
Tell me about current voodoo.
Many people think of Voodoo in terms of magic spells or gree-gree. That kind of practice is actually called hoodoo,
Oh,
and
echt?
is only a part of true Voodoo. Voodoo, the religion, has a strong following in New Orleans. In fact, it is growing quite rapidly. There are several Voodoo churches or temples in the city, and others all across the United States. African Americans see it as a tradition all their own. Whites, and there are many in their religion, are attracted to it because they think it is exotic. I, personally, am more interested in the history of Voodoo. Some of the new movements are copying Haitian or even African Voodoo. But it is the Voodoo of New Orleans that I find so intriguing.
Okay, sehr interessant. Was kann er uns noch erzählen?
So, how did voodoo come to New Orleans?
After the Louisiana Purchase, American legislators relaxed regulations. Slaves were permitted to gather. The Americans also removed the ban on West Indies slaves. Around the same time, a slave revolt occurred in Santo Domingo, what is now Haiti. Between the lifting of the ban and the Haitian revolt, West Indies slaves began pouring into New Orleans. Some of them were free people of color, freed or escaped slaves. Some came with their white owners who were fleeing from the revolt.
Weiter, was gibt's noch?
What happened when the West Indies slaves got here?
They brought voodoo with them. The native slaves were more than enthusiastic about embracing it. It gave them power, Mr. Knight, if only in the form of a communal bond. Among the first meeting places were the Bayou St. John and the shore of Lake Pontchartrain. The early Voodoos were heavy snake worshippers, worshipping the one they called the Great Zombie.
Great Zombie?
Tell me more about his...
By 1817, the voodoo activities were beginning to cause fear among the white slave owners. An ordinance was passed to forbid slave gatherings except in designated public areas at designated times.
Okay.
The time was Sunday afternoons and the place Congo Square. The slaves and free people of color gathered to dance simulations of their voodoo dances right in sight of Creole society. Of course, they also continued to meet in private
Okay.
for the real thing.
Tell me more about current...
There are many voodooians in New Orleans. They often do business selling gree-gree, telling fortunes, providing luck, and occasionally misfortune. Perhaps you would like to meet a voodooian. We refer those who seek a deeper experience with voodoo to a local practitioner. Magentia Moonbeam.
Sure, I'd love to meet her.
She lives on the corner of Orleans and Dauphine. I will call her and tell her you might stop by.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
Das ist super. Ah, da gibt's noch Punkte.
Tell me more.
You have tapped my resources.
Ja, okay.
Do you know Malia Getty?
Should I?
She referred me to your museum.
Many have read about our museum in the newspapers, Mr. Knight.
That's a good point. Are you...
Quite.
Voodoo.
Is there anything else I should know about Voodoo?
Not if your interest is primarily in voodoo. Voodoo is of interest to those who study rural folk traditions, but it will not aid you in understanding true voodoo.
Okay. Ich glaube, wir haben gut was erfahren. Viele Dinge erfahren, viele Dialoge. Sehr Dialog hätten wir heute schon wieder, ne?
Dabei.
Ja, aber das ist halt so beim Adventure. Da lebt ja auch das Adventure ein bisschen von, dass man da Dinge... also
Goodbye,
viele,
Dr. John.
ja,
Come back again.
dass man Geschichten erfährt, Dinge erfährt und so weiter. So, oh, hier war die Wohnung von Moonbeam. Was war das? Ah, der Friedhof. Gehen wir mal hier hin. Auch eine Schlange.
Welcome, Seeker. You must be the one Dr. John called me about.
I guess so. My name is...
Wait? Gabriel Knight?
Ja, das hat er angekündigt.
You're too quick for me.
Actually, Dr. John told me. You have come to the right place, Mr. Knight. Tell me how I can help.
Ja, also wir haben da so ein paar Fragen.
Could I ask you a few questions?
Of course.
Oha, so viele Sachen schon wieder.
Do you have any idea what Caprice Saint-Car means?
No. No, I don't.
Gelogen, würde ich sagen.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
My practice is mainly selling charms and potions with magic power, such as gree-gree and voodoo oils. You know, everything from unrequited love to wandering spouses to winning a lawsuit. But my spells and charms are powerful, and they work.
What can you tell me?
Much of a voodoo yen's work is protecting her clients from the spell of others. I make special protective gree-gree to be worn in secret. They keep evil spells from working against my clients.
What can you tell me?
The recipes for voodoo charms have been handed down from master to apprentice for centuries.
Sehr Dialog in die Folge heute, oder?
What can you tell?
I have told you all.
What do you know?
Why, that has nothing to do with me and my clientele. But I can tell you that you should stay as far from it as possible. There is badness there. Very bad.
So you don't think the voodoo aspects of the case are fake?
Fake? Let me tell you about fake. If I get information through the grapevine and make use of it, is that fake? No. That is part of a voodoo yen's power. If people don't believe, there is not much I can do. But if they do believe, that is a part of my power too. But there are things, monsieur, things not even a little bit fake, I can tell you. Believe it or not, but stay away from it.
Die ist sehr verdächtig für mich. Gut, ich glaube, die Folge ist für heute vorbei, wenn ich das richtig zusammengezählt habe. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Ich habe ja nicht viel erzählt, sondern das Spiel hat das meiste ja für mich gemacht heute. Ja, morgen selbe Stelle, selbe Welle. Bis dahin und tschüss.